so weird. I feel like my grandma says I need to suck the breath out of you.
Sorry, Corey, go ahead.
I think I'm going to keep this, actually. Welcome to Trailer Geeks and Teaser Gods. I'm your host, Corey Nathan. This is where we get to speak with the brilliant and creative people who make the greatest coming attractions, movie posters, and digital campaigns of all time. This program is brought to you by the Golden Trailer Awards and by Soundstripe, the best royalty-free music for video, ads, and film, and by Mesa Wealth Management, our newest title sponsor. And today, this is so much fun. I am so pleased to be joined by Debi Struzan, award-winning creative marketing executive, strategist, creative director, film and streaming experience at most recently at Amazon, but Amazon, IMAX, Searchlight, just covered the spectrum, it seems like.
She's a baddie.
And what?
She's a baddie.
She's a badass. She's a badass. And she's also a member of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Dana Flowers Mitchell.
Woo!
Dana is a vet. Dana might as well just be a co-host on a show. You've been on this show more than just about anybody. Executive leader in brand, growth, and cultural strategy. Board ready, former Prime Video and Amazon MGM Studios. We're already dancing. So many pictures. Academy member. Just all kinds of wonderful. Dana and Debi, it's so good to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
How you all doing?
Great. Great.
Oh, man.
Debi's my girl. I love her.
I'm better now that I'm with Dana.
This is awesome.
We used to see each other every day. It's been about 2 months.
We were like this at the office, like booed up.
Oh, is that right? So your offices were pretty close together?
next door.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
wow.
death, rather. Let's just be clear. Or death. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You must have had so much fun together.
We
Um,
did.
Was that the foot? Had you ever worked together before?
No, it was so weird. We had actually never met.
Never met.
And David
Mutual
Beckoff,
friends.
mutual friends. David Beckoff introduced us at the office, and he's like, "You're going to be instant best friends." And he was right. We were literally best friends.
Alex
in a day.
Pastage said that to me.
Same.
He was like, this is going to be your work bestie. And he was absolutely right.
That's awesome. So okay. So I mentioned that Dana's been on the program a couple times before, but Debi, this is your first, so we'll be gentle. But I am curious about your background. How did you break in? So first of all, Struzan, can we take a moment? Like
Yeah,
your
please.
father-in-law, is not a legend. Doesn't suffice because he had such an influence on the industry. Would you mind sharing a little bit about Drew and you know and his impact not just on the industry but maybe on your life? I'd love for you to let folks know who aren't familiar a little bit information about Drew, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I'd love to start there. Drew, yes, he was my father-in-law. I married his son, Christian. And he was, a legend. He was iconic in the industry. He, to me, kind of was movie advertising, at least as posters were related. He was an illustrator, for those people who don't know, and illustrated some of the most famous pieces of key art in history. He did Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, E.T., like almost any amazing illustrated poster you can think of, Drew was involved in. And he was just a legend. Unfortunately, he passed in October of last year. And as you know, because Corey, you and I talked about it over lunch, but we're trying really hard to get him recognized in the Oscar in memoriam this year. And have gathered a bunch of names, including Dana's.
We will get him recognized.
Yeah.
I did talk to David Dinnerstein the other day, and he is pushing really hard for it. Drew was not actually a member of the Academy, but people who are members of the Academy, I have a list of almost 70 names of people who want him included, including people like Steven Spielberg, Guillermo del Toro, Robert Zemeckis, Kathleen Kennedy. Some of the biggest names in the industry, think he deserves to be included. So fingers crossed that he will be. But yeah, he was a legend, and I got to meet him at Seiniger Advertising before I'd even started dating Christian. So I actually got to work with him at my first stop in the industry.
So that was your first gig. How did Tony find you? How did you break into the industry?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. So when I graduated from UCLA, there were basically no jobs to be had. LA Times had headlines saying, SC and UCLA graduates cannot find jobs. All my friends went to 3rd Street Promenade and became bartenders. I'm not kidding. And I went to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which I obviously had zero interest in renting cars.
Yeah.
But they had an amazing management trainee program. And so I kept getting promoted. And pretty quickly when I was 24, I think I became the head of the entertainment division there. And so I started realizing how much I was interested in entertainment. I rented cars to some really funny people. Phil Spector in the music industry, Hootie and the Blowfish. I would rent fleets of cars to movies.
Wow.
I think like Shazam was Shaq's movie. I rented to them. I rented to like a Johnny Depp movie. I think it was called like Nick of Time. Anyways, as I was doing all of this at Enterprise, I was like, I really like this industry. On my 25th birthday, I quit Enterprise Rent a Car, which was a big thing because I had company car insurance, a company car. So I quit. I had no job, no car, nothing. And I read this book called What Color is Your Parachute?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'd never heard of it before. Someone's like, read it. And it said I should be in entertainment or advertising. At the time, I did not realize that entertainment advertising existed. But I thought it was funny that the book nailed me from the get-go. And I'm not kidding, Corey. Like within minutes of closing the book, serendipitously, a friend called me who I went to UCLA with. And she said, hey, there's a job open at Seiniger Advertising. I had oddly rented a car to someone at Seiniger Advertising, so I was familiar with it. And I just interviewed and got the job. And it was away from there.
Wow. So you started on I mean, Tony is also a legend on the print side. And not only that, he's mentored some of I mean, the conversation can begin and end with Dawn Bailey. Dawn, I mean, she has such reverence for her time with Tony. How did you find your path once you got there?
I did love, by the way, that the podcast you did with Tony and Dawn. That was brilliant.
Oh, wasn't that great?
So
It's always so cool to get like two awesome people together like yourselves.
it was really fun. Thank you. I know it's
Thank
kind of
you.
fun to do a duo. Yes, when I worked there, it was a legendary place to work. Like people who work, it was like lightning in a bottle. The people who worked there all kind of broke off and formed their agency. So as Dawn did BLT, as you know, and that was before my time.
Yeah.
But later, Alan Hunter was there. He was an in-house illustrator, so creative. He broke off and formed Petrol. I don't know if you're familiar with Petrol.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
like the best gaming agency out there.
Yeah.
So I worked with him. Of course, I met my husband there, Christian. And so he broke off and formed his agency, XL. Let's see, Stephen Lapp and Emma Ussell formed Iconisys. Even on the AV side, like Lee Harry left and formed Buddha Jones. So there was incredible people working there when I was there. I started as his assistant, which is probably a normal path. It was a little weird for me because I went from like managing the entertainment division at Enterprise Rent-A-Car to being an assistant.
Yeah.
But it was a great move. I fell in love with the industry. I love Tony. I still talk to him. He's trying to help me get Drew also in the in memoriam. So I still talk to him. He's great. And I loved working there. Sitting on a desk got a little, I needed more of a challenge after about a year. So I just went and talked to him and I was like, love you, love the company, love the industry, but I need a little bit more of a challenge. So he made me a junior account executive. The following year, we had the same conversation. He made me an account executive. So he was great. He kept like promoting me along the way. And yeah, here we are.
And then, so you spent some time on the agency side. How did you get was Searchlight your first studio gig?
Searchlight was my first studio gig. I did about 10 years on the agency side before I got to Searchlight.
Okay.
So I left Seiniger and went to Creative Domain Design.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so I worked with some great people like Peter A.D. was amazing, Anna Zafrani, some great people there.
Was Jill Green there at that time?
Jill, I think it was weird. I was Creative Domain Design, so I was in a different building
Okay.
than the AV people. I think Jill was there. Really, she's awesome too. I didn't get to work with all of those people as much as I would have loved to.
Yeah.
But it was Martin Gillette, Carrie Rachel, good group. Was there a little less than 2 years. And then Steve Heyman hired me away to go to Kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope. Yeah.
And so I went there for about 5 years. That was great. Again, all this time was working in key art. So although I was working for agencies that had AV divisions, I was working in key art predominantly. And then from there, a position opened at Fox Searchlight and Stephanie Allen was hiring. Love Stephanie. And
Love.
She's
Yeah.
Love.
best humans in the industry.
Like a good lady.
She is
Yeah.
incredible. And I had met her when I was at Seiniger. She was a freelance copywriter and I just loved her vibe. And I was like, I have to get this job. So I tried my hardest. My husband logged in a call and it was a few interviews in and wound up getting the job there, which was amazing. So yes, that was my first studio experience. And I lasted there about 7 years.
Can I say something specific about Stephanie? We had some differences during some strained times, not just in the industry, but in the world. I give Stephanie so much credit because she navigated those conversations with me with not just patience, but a sense of grace and a heart for connection and edification. I give her a lot of credit because those were we were all going through some hard times, but there were also fissures that opened up in understanding and sensitivity and sensibility. Without getting into too many of the specifics, but I have so much respect for Stephanie, because I know she's such a brilliant creative and has contributed a great deal to the industry itself, but on a personal level, and just on a cultural level, I really appreciated the way that she navigated those conversations with me. I'm sure you experienced that in your time at when you had to have professional or creative conversations with her when you were at Searchlight, right?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, she is honestly, Corey, one of the best humans probably I've ever met in my life. I still talk to her. She's also trying to help me get Drew in the in memoriam. She is amazing. What I loved about her when I worked with her is like she was a great creative, but she was a good human.
Yeah.
And she also was such a good manager. She really cared for people. When I was there, again, lightning in a bottle, we had Patrick Starr there, who was
Yeah.
incredible, who's obviously since gone on to Universal. But he, we just had a great team. Just one silly example, but when she would give us like holiday gifts, she wouldn't just give everyone the same gift. She like knew everyone on her team intimately. And she like favorite store was Anthropologie. And she went and bought me these really cool like Mary Mako. I still have them, like red and orange polka dot, like kind of Converse style shoes. And like, but she bought each person on her team something that was like personal and particular to them, which I just love about her. She's good people.
Dana, do you have any questions for Debi? I'm kind of.
I was just gonna, as I learned from a studio, layer on to what you guys were saying, and that Stephanie is brilliant and loving. And during the difficult time, during the whole George Floyd era, and where were we going with lack of representation in the industry, the empathy and the grace and just the support and the love that she showed through all the different trials has just been immeasurable. She's just a fucking class act.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And by the way, it should be noted, Dana, that you had such a great influence on me too during that time and on the industry as a whole. Your loving candor, in particular in June of 2020, that's when our collaboration started. I've told people this. I don't know if I've ever shared it on the air, but you called me and basically said, Corey, we need to do better. I'm like, yes, we do. What are we talking about? But here's the thing. You didn't just tell me what a constructive critique was. You participated in the solution, not just by coming on the program. I don't know if you remember this. You basically scheduled a season for me because there were people that I'm now dear friends with, actually, a few people in particular, but there were folks that weren't returning my emails or calls and stuff. So you really participated in programming in an important and thoughtful way. So I really appreciate it. But here's the other thing too, is I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember, I'm going to get emotional talking about it. You called me on October 8th. Do you remember?
No.
Yeah. So, I have a Jewish background and you just called and you were like, how you doing?
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yeah, because you were on my mind.
Yeah.
We connected over a lot of things. And I don't know. I just, when we sat down and we broke bread together and spent time, I just, I'm as invested. I'm invested with what you're doing with this. I'm invested in reaching young people and other people who don't really know about this industry, but to really just kind of get it from all sides and to really get a basis and a foundation. And I love what you're doing. And so, and just seeing all the talented people that we come across. Every time I listen, I'm like so excited because I'm like, I worked with this person. And I knew this person win, or like, it's wonderful to be reconnected. It's like a yearbook all the time.
It is. So there is something about your background and the you-ness of you that I didn't know. Boxing, Dana? How did I not know this?
I know. Don't look now. Please, let's modify those photos because someone's like, there's no way in hell this broad's doing boxing. But yeah, I love boxing. I do. I love the cardio boxing. And obviously in this industry, we know why. I've got
a lot of aggression,
a lot of pent up feelings to get out, and I enjoy myself with a little hip hop. I'm in.
She was so cute, Corey. She would like change into her like boxing gear at Amazon, and it was so cute to see her go from like professional Dana to like badass athlete Dana. And you would recruit people from the office.
I sure
you
would.
brought Cameron with you.
I sure would.
Yeah,
it was lovely. And
oh man,
the whole group class. Yeah.
So you came from because we haven't spoken on the air since your time at Amazon. How different was that environment compared to a major studio environment? Because you had come from Sony.
Oh, vastly different. Vastly different. There's some similarities and then there's vast differences. Which it took a little bit to understand, and some may say I never did understand it all, but I definitely tried. But it's different. It's some of the communication's different, just the infrastructure and some of the expectations and the way that they work are different. So, but I have to do a little shout out to Amanda Edwards. I got to do a shout out to Molly Albright. Some ladies, Amanda first, because she brought me in there and she really fought to get me in there. And I wanted that. That was like what I've been praying about. Like, this is the one piece of the puzzle that I haven't been a part of. And I really, really wanted to learn. And I knew that it was going to be a big learning curve for a girl like me, but I was up for the challenge. And so they were up to have me, and it was a great time spent. And the relationships, there's fabulous people there. I learned a ton. And I will never regret the time spent there. It was lovely. And the people I met, like Deb's,
Yeah.
So
We got to team up on some titles, which was actually really fun.
And I learned so much. She taught me a lot. Thankfully, that was her first thing, is I teamed up with her, because it was a bit of an overcome to kind of figure out, from having done it my old way, the traditional theatrical way, and to learn the streaming process and the streaming kind of acronyms and all those things. I was like,
yeah.
Especially Amazon. I think Amazon is.
Why don't you just say that you're going to finishing? What the I would say, what the fuck is this?
Amazon prides itself on being peculiar.
It was very peculiar. Very peculiar.
Very peculiar. And I know, I was like, oh, Dana, I'll take her under my wing, because I'm thinking this woman is a brilliant creative, so I can teach her Amazon, and then I can also learn from her brilliance. She and I worked on a creative title together that was a horror film, and I had actually never worked on a traditional horror film.
And anybody knows
this
I
one
love horror.
Kills on horror.
Yeah,
so
love it.
It was called House of Spoils.
Scary all day long, Nathan. All day long.
I loved working with her on that, because I learned a lot about how to market a horror film from Dana.
Now that I think about the three of you, you complement each other so well, because I know, Dana, you and Amanda crossed over for a time at the Ant Farm, but your disciplines were different, and your training was a little bit. I think Amanda has started out. By the way, I can't wait to read what Amanda is writing.
All of us.
I know.
She had written, when she left Warner Brothers, she had written some sort of a romance and never let us read it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. I'm excited for her next chapter.
Yeah. Yeah. She had a great idea when y'all were still all there together to do like a round table. I forgot what you call it, but the women at Amazon or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that could be like an entire year. Talk about program. That could be an entire year's worth of program. Just put the three of you, or maybe a couple other folks from there, around a table, and just like, okay, ready, go. That would be
You
fun.
need to, I'll tell you again, your programming for next season.
Okay. All right.
Molly Albright and Amanda. You need to get those two on.
Oh, I've been working on Amanda for a while.
Good.
So shout out
Molly
to Amanda.
Albright too. She's fantastic.
I love Molly. So Molly has a great background too. If I'm remembering correctly, she was with that individual filmmaker. Oh gosh, am I remembering this right? They did like Passion of the Christ. What was that? Icon? Was she at Icon at one point? What was the name of that filmmaker?
I did a title with her when I was at IMAX, and it was called Metallica Through the Never. And she was, I think it was Picture House.
Okay.
And yeah. Bob Burney, who's her brother.
Bob Burney. That's who I'm thinking about. Yeah. So she was with different iterations of Bob Burney's company.
Yeah.
And
well,
I'm pretty.
Amazon. She was like,
and Bob was at Amazon too.
She was like the second employee in the film department. So yeah, she's seen it in all sides.
All right. So this is my initial preliminary call to Molly Albright. I'll be reaching out to you, but absolutely, if they're willing.
And then I will help you get that.
Yeah, Molly Albright, my queen.
She hired me at Amazon, so I have much love for her as well.
Trailer Geeks and Teaser Gods is brought to you by the Golden Trailer Awards. For folks who are just starting to get plugged in, the GTAs is an unconventional ceremony that honors excellence in feature film trailers, teasers, and movie marketing. Or as some folks like to think of it, it's the award ceremony for the short attention span. We all just celebrated the 25th Golden Trailer Awards. So would that be the Silver Golden Trailer Awards? Either way, it was a terrific show. Monica and Evie do such a wonderful job putting it together. Tons of fun, so much awesome work across the board. And mostly it was just great to be together as a community. So keep an eye out for a number of exciting developments over the next year. Just make sure to stay plugged in at goldentrailer.com for a ton of exciting developments. That's goldentrailer.com. All right, so I got to talk about some of the work. I think I already told you, like, Hedda, Dana, come on. I mean, I could just listen to the way that you timed out the breath that different characters were taking. Was that something that you were aware of? Like, how did you tell me about Hedda? Just tell me all about it.
I don't know, but I mean, listen, the strange thing about that project is that I've been working on it, felt like 2 years, because I had Amanda loved the trailer, and from the very beginning, like, I showed her, she was like, yes. And then
Everyone loved
it.
Stephen
Yes.
loved it. It was beloved by
Sue
everyone.
Kroll loved
Yeah.
it. I mean, I thought that I was like, oh,
Locked in.
really?
It's just like a sexy dance. It was like just a beautiful dance.
But it changed music, and I was in love with the first cue. And
Wait,
so,
Love is a Drug seems perfect.
I know. Well, you know what? I gotta say, I was a little bit dragging my heels on that, because you couldn't tell me that my first cue wasn't slamming. But then the director, Mia really wanted, she said, I need you to try Love is the Other Drug. And I was like, okay. So, we tried a couple other things, but then when Love is the Drug really started to lay in there, I was like, holy snap myself. Stupid. What?
Yes.
It just really worked. And it felt special. Anyway, I love that trailer. That was one of my faves. That goes down in one of my specials.
Oh, I love it.
So speaking of music, whose choice was it to get that the Johnny Cash cue on The Chosen, The Last Supper?
That wasn't me. That was Open Road. I took it when it came to Amazon, and then we repackaged it. But that was Open Road. I got to give them a shout out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so they brought it all. They brought it a long way home.
They were doing like the original streaming version until, I guess, for 5 and 2 and for their platform, and then when it came over to us,
Yeah.
we had to change it up a little bit.
Sorry, Corey, my cat keeps sticking her head into frame. So
It's part of the fun. It's part of the fun. That's cool. So that Johnny Cash cue, I mean, it's not intuitive if you know the material, but when you see it come together, it's freaking perfect.
This is what I have to say about The Chosen. And let me just tell you this, because as I get very excited about this, because that is like favorite campaign, the most favorite, I would say, EPs that I don't want to say, because I love them all, but they were a special group of people. Like 5 and 2 was very special to me. And when I resigned from Sony, I loved The Chosen show so much. I've been following it since episode 1 of season 1. And it was my dream to work on it. Like, I was trying to find them on LinkedIn to see if I could, because you know how it's all about through crowdsourcing, and they raise the funds for the filming of the show. I wanted to see if I could donate my time to work with them for advertising. And so I couldn't find anybody. But then I'm walking around the corner and I hear all of a sudden that someone's saying they're getting ready to work on it. And I said, work on what? What? And I said, The Chosen. I said, you must sign me up. I will just help. Let me just hang out. Anyway, it was just my joy, and they are lovely people, and I love everything they've got going on. They have a special thing with that. Really do.
I have a related question. So you obviously cared about that material. When you get something that you clearly care about, that means so much to you personally, for example, The Woman King so by the way, anything that I watched from that campaign, there's something about it that like pulls, I'm not just watching something. There's something that sort of pulls me into a world, and I'm immersed into a world. And it could be literally like 30 seconds, let alone the trailer. Is it harder to do your work, to do your thing, because it means so much to you on a project like that, or a project like The Chosen?
Yeah, it can be very hard because you get so passionate about it. And, I, like, again, avid fan. No, like when we were on set, like Jonathan Rhys, he plays Jesus. Like I was like, oh, remember when we're hanging out with Whoopi Goldberg at the canal? And he was like,
what?
And I was like, yes. And they
Boy, I'm a stalker.
yeah, they were like, oh my God, he loves you because you know him. Like, I'm like, because I'm a true fan. So it's great, but then it's also the double-edged sword where you are so passionate and you're like, you have this vision in your head. And so it's kind of hard when people are telling you, no, you're like, how many episodes did you really watch? Do you know? And do you know what disciple they're referring to? I do.
That's awesome.
She does. And I swear, Corey, she had a full slate of projects and she took that one on as an additional thing because there was so much passion for it.
Just
Oh, that's awesome.
I
That's
thank
awesome.
Jamie for that. Jamie saw my passion and he rewarded me for that. So I thank you for that, Jamie.
That was nice. You got to work with Mark.
I got
Scheider.
Oh my God.
Who's the best?
And Susie and the whole team. And yeah, I can go on. I can have an whole show by myself about this. So don't get me going. But I'll tell you quickly because I want to pass it back to Debi since I always take over. What I want to talk about is The Girlfriend. That is also one of my faves projects. Have you watched that yet?
I have. Yeah. So, okay. So I watched about 3 pieces and I had to stop watching.
Too intense?
Well, because it was going to give me bad dreams. Just like watching the trailers themselves were going to give me bad dreams. Like I'm now afraid. And I'm looking at my wife. Now I'm looking at my wife and I'm looking at my, I'm like, wait, are we?
Good. I was at dinner with Stephanie Gibbons. That's like my creative crush. She's an EVP of marketing at FX. Like that's like where I want to be. Like she is amazing. And when she told me that she loved that campaign, I was like, wow, like this is
that's so cool.
Is this what it's
next
like
time you go to dinner, you have to invite me because I met her when I worked on the L Word when I was like at Kaleidoscope and I've never met her in person.
I love her so much.
She was in New York and I was in LA and I'm jealous. That's amazing. She's a legend.
It's like Kobe telling you that you hit a shot or something like that, right?
That's the ultimate compliment. Yeah.
What? Yes.
You know what's interesting about Gibbons? I'm just going to say Gibbons because we're talking about a couple of different Stephanies. Is she's thoroughly unimpressed with herself. Like she's so disarming with how into the work and into the people she is and into the just brilliant creative. But she doesn't lead with like, don't you know who the hell I am?
Not at all, right?
No,
you would never know.
Yeah.
She is so unassuming.
Yeah.
That's why I love her. And she's got a wicked sense of humor.
She does.
Stephanie's in this industry.
Yeah. Like I met her on a panel and that's where our friendship started. And I always knew of her because, I'm obsessed with the FX creative. I'm like, that's like the bar. Like the shoots, the everything. So anyway, love. Another one you need to be on this podcast.
I would love to. I got to start taking notes because I really do have a whole season scheduled now.
You're going to have to double up, Corey. Double up.
Yeah. Amanda already knows. We've talked about it. She looks so good. She like just her demeanor and her health wise. Amanda looks so good the last time, like just so healthy and happy the last time I saw her. It was great.
Yeah.
So first of all, Debi, I told you guys this before we started recording that you get to ask each other questions. So, Debi, anything about Dana's work or vice versa, Dana about Debi's work?
Oh gosh, now I'm stumped.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I have to say, before we recorded this today, I actually started to listen and it was so fun. I started to listen to your one that you did when you were at Sony.
Oh,
because she was my work bestie and I was like, I mean, I'm probably going to learn a lot about Dana. And I did. I was having so much fun. I love that you and I both started as like an executive assistant, but I love that you were like making your shit come true, basically. Like you started as a receptionist and I was so happy to hear when you're like, no, Barbara, you need an executive assistant. Let me tell you all the reasons why.
Yeah.
It was fun for me to learn more about Dana because we had fun working together, but we only worked together, for like a year and a half? Was that all it was?
Yeah, I was like 2 months shy of 2 years.
Okay, so almost 2 years. Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Work besties for 2 years. But
But feel like I've known you forever, though.
It does feel weird. You know what's funny, too, Corey, is that I had her phone number in my phone, even though we had never met, and neither one of us know why.
Are you serious?
Yeah, remember I told you that. It was, and I had your trailer park email. I think what happened, I'm not positive, this is my theory. A girl named Natalia Barishnikova was working on a campaign. It was one night in Miami.
How do I forget that name?
She's the best. I worked with her at Searchlight and again at Amazon. Love her so much. She's on the awards team.
Any relation to Misha, Mikhail?
Oddly, no. I don't think.
because he's Parisian Kov, but it's the Russian thing.
The Russian thing. Learning Natalia taught me a lot about Russian culture, which I didn't know, which was Kov and Kova are the same name.
Yeah.
Which I did not know. Also, apparently they give each other nicknames, but the nicknames are funny. So she's Natalia, but her nickname is Natasha, which makes absolutely no sense to me. For example, let's see, Alexander's nickname is Sasha. Like, so, it's so funny. Like, I'm Deborah, but I'm Debi.
Yeah.
So I feel like American nicknames make sense. Russian ones are just like very out there. Anyways, I think Natalia was working on the One Night in Miami campaign, and I was helping her because she was doing award stuff and it started to get really intense. And I think maybe that's why. I think Trailer Park was working on the trailer. I think maybe you were covering for whoever it was. Anyways, I think I was covering for someone. You were covering for someone.
Matt Brubaker.
Brubaker. He's overdue to come back on the show.
I was just texting with him. I love that guy.
I love him. Before we move on, I wanted to tell you about something else that's important. Money. Specifically your money. In all seriousness, I wanted to tell you about my advisor and my friend, George Meza. George runs Meza Wealth Management. And with George, it's not just about money. It's about helping us manage our present and plan for our future. And unlike a lot of other firms out there, George and I actually have a relationship. He knows me, he knows my family, and I know his wonderful family. I also know his firm and the incredible team he's put together, from his chief investment officer to some of the other great people in his office, like Jessica, their head of operations, that are always there to help me and with all aspects of our portfolio. You see, the thing is, I got a lot going on. I guess we all got a lot going on, and I don't have the time to watch our investments all day, every day. And even if I did, I don't have the experience and expertise that George's team collectively has. So we get the entire Meza Wealth Management team, all their expertise and all their integrity. And again, it's based on George knowing me personally, knowing my goals, and even the kind of risk that's appropriate for me to take, which, by the way, could change from one season to the next. And they're on top of all of that. So if you want George Meza and Meza Wealth Management to be on your team, just visit their website, mezawealth.com. That's MEZA wealth.com, www.mezawealth.com. And that will also be in our show notes, so you can check that. Okay, so when you both grew up professionally, creatively on the agency side, then went to the client side, studio side. How was that transition? I would imagine it had an impact on the way you interfaced with your agency partners.
You want to take it?
Sure. For me, it was, I was just agency my whole career, so that's all I ever knew. So studio was drastically different. Like, nothing I'd ever envisioned or thought about or anything like that. So it was a lot. It was a lot. But again, I developed a love for it. I liked it. It was fun. It's nice. And I'll have to say this. And I think anybody out in the world, in this trailer world, can appreciate. It's nice when you don't have to go looking for your food. Your food is there. You dole it out to others.
Yeah.
I love that theory. I love that. I leaned into that.
That is true. Working on the agency side is hard because you're always, we're both very personable people, but like being a salesperson, I feel like it's completely different. I always found the sales side of the agency business tough. So I loved being on the other side, partly for that. Partly also what I loved was when I was on the agency side, I was always in one lane. And so, for the first 17 years, it was just key art. And so I was in one lane, and it was just the key art lane. And I think that's what I love about the studio, particularly at Amazon, to be honest with you, because we all work so cross-functionally. And at one point, I was what they call a CMM, creative marketing manager. We always do reorgs at Amazon. And so I was in charge of strategy and creative. And that was really cool because I was working cross-functionally with PR, with social, with the influencer team, and like delving into like a campaign as a whole versus one piece, the key art. You know what I mean? So that's the part that I absolutely loved the most about being on the studio side, was like seeing this full 360.
So I'm a little bit curious.
That's what I love about working with Debi, is learning about. I've really learned print because she grew up on print, and it's a completely different lens that she has than I had, because print was secondary to me. It's what I acquired or learned after years of just doing straight AV. So it was much later. And so it was a great time spent with her because I really got a real foundation of key art and print with her.
How difficult was it for you to step back a little bit? Because when you were at Trailer Park and Open Road and even your time at Ant Farm, you were in the Bay. Was it hard to not be as hands-on once you went to the client side?
Yes. I found that harder at Sony, and that's the difference between being at a more traditional studio versus the streamer. And that's what I did really like about Amazon, is it gave me an opportunity to be right back smack in it again. I'm feeling like I'm reconnecting to my problem solving and really having to figure things out, because there's so much product coming at you. There's not enough people for all the work that's coming through. So you really just have to, and you don't have you don't have your assistant, you don't have this, you don't have that.
You're doing it all
You're doing it all yourself. You're like barely raising your hand for help. But
individual contributors.
right. Individual. But what I loved about it is like you just really had to like earn trust, as they say, and really kick ass and work hard. And it's kind of nice to when you've been so pushed back a little bit from it, to be reconnected with it again was lovely.
You know what's about Corey? What about Dana, Corey, was that she calls people. I feel like in this industry, like a lot of people send emails and then they just think the work's going to get done. I think you probably sent emails. I always sent emails, but you always followed up with a call. And Dana is a relationship builder. She has relationships with all of her agencies, and she would call people and they would talk.
I'm remembering one call. I'm remembering one call I got from Dana. I'm not going to get into the details, but I'll say I got myself into some trouble. And Dana calls. She's like, "Corey, I heard all about it. It's going to be okay. Here's what we're going to do."
But she's not afraid to pick up a phone. And I feel like a lot of times people are all digital, you know what I mean? And they just email something and move on to the next problem. And trust me, there's a lot of problems, but you can solve a lot of problems by picking up a phone, you know? And so she would always get on the call with people and they would talk through things, work through things creatively, collaborate. And I think that's why you were such a huge success.
Thank you. That's the only way I know how to work. So, and that's the way I like to work. So it works. And again, when you've been doing it as long as we have, it's such a great opportunity to reconnect with your friends. Like, you know, it's a joy to be able to bring them a project. We know how hard it is to find work, to continue and to sustain work. So I just enjoy the process. And I think that comes through.
Was that something you picked up from Barbara? Because Barbara would call too. Dana.
Yeah. That's what made me laugh from the podcast. Dana. She always adds ER to my name.
Always. I think
Is she British?
No,
that's such a British.
She's from Jersey.
Like, no, she's a Staten Island girl. She's a Staten Island girl.
I love her. She's Staten, right?
Staten Island. Yeah, that's right. Debi, so were you able to continue working with creative directors once you went to the studio side at Searchlight, or were you dealing more with, the account exec? Like, how was your process different once you went from agency to studio side?
Yeah, I think working with a lot of both. I was an account executive, so I have deep love for the account executives in my world. Rowena Rosenberg, Tony Schwartz. There's a lot of people, Michelle Yetman. There's a lot of people across like Code Open, Leroy and Rose, and Refinery that I have mad love for, but also worked with the creatives as well. Oftentimes, like with the owners, frankly, like people like John Pede at Cold Open. So yeah, worked with a little bit of both and had love for both. I loved the account executives who knew how to speak the language, but could also get the creatives to do what needed to be done, which is sometimes hard. Creatives always want to do what they want to do, but like the account executives would always make sure that like they were delivering on brief and on strategy and what was requested and stuff. So love for both.
So a question for both of you, and we might end up cutting this if it gets us into too much trouble, but I'm really curious if there were people who were never, not that they were uncivil, but just never had any interest in you. And then all of a sudden you landed on the studio side and they were like your besties or acted like your besties. Did you ever have to be like, you're so full of shit, like to call people out on their bullshit?
I had funny stories, Corey, and
I wish everyone could see the look on Dana's face right now.
Totally inappropriate nickname.
I'm like looking out the window. Oh, the weather. Yes.
I will start by saying I think people in entertainment have a bad reputation, and I think that's false. Generally speaking, I've been doing this for decades. I love almost everyone in the industry.
I think that's a good way to put it, because seriously, like I'm thinking of certain personalities that, well, I know a lot of different people in the industry, and for the most part, they're really good, decent human beings, genuine human beings, creative, smart. But there are a small handful that are just so.
Look at Corey. This is Miss Congeniality. That she's babies and shake hands. Now, if you want the straight answer,
Corey, she used to call me the mayor at Amazon.
she's the mayor.
But I was like, that's insulting.
No, it's not. It's
I'm not a politician.
It's not.
We did have 2 rounds of drinks at Casa Vega, so the 2 drinks in, Debbie, is a little bit more unfiltered.
Yeah, Corey and I went a little off the rails. I think, if that was recorded, we'd be in trouble, Corey.
Okay. Fair enough.
She's just good people, and she finds a way to connect with different people, and she's just beloved and just kind, and she just always leads with that warm smile. She's willing to help you. I'm an acquired taste, Corey. So
she's not everyone's cup of tea.
I'm not everyone's cup of tea because I'm a glass of champagne. But I used to say that to you all the time.
You did. It's my favorite.
But here's the thing about champagne. You might not like it the first time you drink it, but if by the second, third, fourth time you're still not liking it, you're just wrong.
Absolutely. And she's bubbly and effervescent. You are.
Yeah. So what's your unfiltered answer to that, Dana? Come on, give us the real scoop.
No. Yes, there are some. There are those that you might not have heard from in quite some time, and it might not have ever crossed paths, and they come out of the woodwork. Yeah, they do. And we understand it. It is hard to get work.
Yes.
So they're doing absolutely what they need to be doing. And because of that, that's the one thing people will compliment me is like, you will answer a fucking email. Like, if you don't know, you will get back to people. You will do your best to respond. I will take a Zoom with you. Because I understand what it's like when you are looking for work and you just need someone to answer the phone. And so I'm all about, if I can give you a little piece of advice, if I can connect you with something, I pride myself on being a connector of people, and I will continue to do that. And I understand how this job is. So, yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit more about the industry as a whole, especially because, like I said, you both have such interesting perspective, having grown up creatively, professionally on the agency side, having been at both major studio environments, as well as streamers. It's a really, the scope of your experience is really unique. And the fact that you both have it, if I were I don't know if I said this after or before we hit record, but if I was starting a studio, you would be a couple of my first calls. But that really is invaluable range of experience. So with that perspective, how have you seen the industry evolve during your time? There's a few questions, but this is my first one. How have you seen the industry evolve during your time in the business?
I don't know. You should answer.
I will say, Corey, it's been an interesting time in the industry, right? We've had COVID where things shut down. We've had strikes. This is even just in the last 6 years.
The fires last year.
Now we have AI. So,
an evolution.
Yeah, it's evolving a lot. I will say I have been heartened to see over the last couple of weeks, to be honest with you, to see the numbers. I grew up in theatrical. I love movie theaters. I love streaming too. And I think streaming succeeds when we're lazy and we want to stay home and it's convenient. And theaters are for when we want a big shared moment with people. And I think that they can all live together. And that I love. I think it was really cool to see that Disney hit $6 billion this year, which was, I think, their best since 2019. Warner Brothers hit, I think, $4 billion, their best since 2019. IMAX, my old alma mater, had their best, highest grossing global box office ever. And so I feel like we keep hearing that theatrical is dying. It's not dying. Look at those numbers. You know what I mean? It is not dying. And so that I love. But I think it's evolving, and I think that everyone can have their piece of the pie. I want to go out to, the Chinese theater to watch the movie F1 to get this big cinematic experience, but I want to stay home and watch a rom-com. Maybe. So I think the industry is evolving in that way, but I think people still want both.
Yeah.
I don't know if that actually answers your question, Corey, but let's see if Dana has something brilliant to say.
I think it's evolved. And my feelings on the evolution are that I feel that we're evolving away from storytelling. And I feel like there's a fear of putting money into taking risks on good old fashioned, that's a good idea. That's a great story. I love that. I wish that we could get back to that. And it feels like we're not doing enough of that anymore.
Oh my God, this cat.
The cat is,
Right,
yeah, I'm
she's
totally
typing
seeing
on the
that.
keyboard. I will say Warner Brothers is the perfect example of the opposite of that. So Disney is exactly what you said. Disney put out Zootopia 2. They put out an Avatar sequel. They put out another Lilo and Stitch. Their 6 billion or whatever success is based on franchises and animated titles.
No, I agree.
But Warner Brothers
is trying.
this year,
Yeah, with
right?
Sinners
With
and
Weapons, Sinners,
Yeah,
F1.
yeah,
And so bless them. Also bless A24. Like I love to see.
yeah. That's true.
I'm wondering if what A24 did, and by the way, mad props to Graham Retzik, who also I worked with at Fox Searchlight with Stephanie and Patrick, but he's been running creative at A24 for I think 10, 12 years. And what they did with the Marty Supreme campaign was awesome. And I have a 15-year-old, I have a 17-year-old. Both my kids went to the theater to see that movie, which is really cool. And they did things that not everyone's doing. And I'm wondering, Corey, if that's going to be an evolution, right? So like traditional is like create a killer trailer or a teaser, create killer key art, do out of home.
It's definitely going to spark some changes. Yeah.
But they did cool shit.
But we need more of that is what my point is. I felt like we got
I agree.
It's like, I want the sixth sense. I want that feeling of when we were creating new things that felt fresh and you're like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
But to your point,
yeah,
Warner Brothers, kudos to them.
Year,
They did that because Weapons, Susie Shen, like, come on. Like that trailer had me at the
so good.
Start,
so good.
Yeah.
I know. And the evolution, Corey, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the sale of Warner Brothers, isn't it? That's going to be another evolution.
Hopefully it won't change that dynamic.
It does make me nervous because Netflix, I think, just put another offer out today, all cash.
Yeah.
And it appeals to Warner Brothers, and it seems it might be more than what Paramount offered. When you take the all cash consideration and then the linear TV spinoff.
But to your point, there still needs to be a world that exists for both. So
yeah.
I cannot see how one will annihilate the other. I mean, it's just trying to figure out what that biorhythm is.
It's like find out which audiences want to see what where and serving them.
What movie serves in that audience for the people who want to leave their home and go to the theater. Because I'm telling you right now, streaming, I love it. Like
same.
I love to be able to press my remote and say, pause, baby, grab me that lemonade. I don't want you to miss this piece of dialogue. I love that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Now I'm curious to see, to what degree do you think, if Netflix and Warner were to merge, this is like really big picture, but to what degree will they shape consumer behavior? And to what degree are they responding to consumer behavior? We're talking about simply people going to see the movies. Are they going to say, well, you're not going to go see the movies anymore. You're going to see the movies in your house, or are they seeing behavior, cultural, societal behavior and responding to that? Or is it kind of a push and pull? What do you guys think?
I have to say my cat interrupted me, but I will say one thing. I don't know if this is what you were talking about, Corey. But the whole Netflix buying Warner Brothers scares me a little bit as far as the short and theatrical window. And I know they've promised 45 days, but I was thinking about it. And when I was at Searchlight, Little Miss Sunshine played in theaters for 16 weeks. And 45 days is 6.5 weeks if I'm doing well. So do you know what I mean? Like, how does this hurt the theatrical landscape? It does worry me. And sorry, moving on to you since you're probably paying attention.
No, I mean, very good point. I think it's going to be a little reactive, because that's just how this industry usually is reactive until they can figure out, they'll either overproduce or pull back or whatever until they can figure out that happy medium, until they get a real sense of what the world is shifting to. Just think there's so much chaos in the world, though. I just kind of think people don't really know where to focus right now. And so I think until a lot of things kind of even themselves out and life kind of resumes a new pace and there's a little bit more love in the world. I hate to go there, but I think we're all going to be just reactive because that's the kind of world we live in right now. It's reactive and not always the best reactions.
Another question, it's sort of like, okay, so another question is for the benefit of agencies. All your old pals at agencies, even the best of the best, are really struggling. Some are just struggling to survive. After the 6 years we've been through, some are just struggling to stay alive, but certainly everyone is struggling to stay competitive, not just creatively, but financially. Given the demands on any given campaign, along with the budget restraints, what kinds of adjustments do you think agencies can make to stay not just alive, but really on top of their game?
Yeah. I think they need to kind of tighten up and streamline and like be aware that the shifting budgets and everything. I mean, the budgets are everything. They're, the budgets are not what the budgets used to be. And I think we have to recognize that when the streaming model came in, so did the budgets. And so those have impacted theatrical shops. And so I think you have to kind of get with the times and figure out what's the best model and how to work within. And that you don't maybe need 25 people to screw in a light bulb anymore. You know what I mean? Like you might have to get your top 5 or 10 or top 10 editors and who have, who are doing what needs to be done and getting the work done. And you have to I feel like you just have to kind of streamline. What do you think? I think kind of bring it in. I think we all have to look at like there's a different way to do this now. I mean, I've come from the days of, I come from my Matt Brubaker, a nod as the man taught me. I'm the queen of alts. The alt now these days are just profitable. I mean, I have to be very careful about that. That was something I had to really learn, and it's hard, but it's just a different way of looking at the business.
Yeah. I do wonder what AI is going to do to the industry, to be honest with you. And like going to that alts conversation, like, is there going to be like a button that we push and it's going to spit out a bunch of different alt trailers with different copy lines, different music, different jokes,
different opens?
Yeah. And then you serve it to different audiences. And, that's concerning. So we'll see, Corey, in the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And a lot of people are pushing these AI trailers. I mean, and some of them you're like, whoa.
I mean, AI key art is just so bad. It just keeps winding up in my feeds on social. And to me, it's so obvious. It'll be scary when it's not obvious, I guess.
I'm dubious. It's not that I'm looking through rose-colored glasses. I'm just thinking there at the end of the day, there's a difference between a human being and what a human being can do and what AI can do. And AI can do a lot. Don't get me wrong. But to take disparate thoughts. So I was having this conversation with a really brilliant creative last night. And he started out as an editor, came up through the ranks as creative director. And the idea of taking 2.5 or 3 hours worth of material and not just distilling it down, because that's not the job. Sometimes it's taking disparate ideas, disparate images, and making sense of that. Like making an order out of the chaos of these 2.5 hours into 2.5 minutes or 30 seconds or whatever. Like that's not, I think AI can maybe give you a summary. AI can take direction and maybe put some pieces together, but it's not going to generate the idea in the first place, or on the print side, like if you have, this is going to be a really maybe sound harsh, but here's the reality: is there are a couple of different types of writers on the key art side. There are the writers that are real concept people who can distill an entire IP down to those 3 iconic words, right? That's not the concept. Is not necessarily something AI can duplicate. Now, there's that, but then there's the writers who are able to take the concept and do 30 iterations of it. My concern is that that's what AI can do, especially in spaces where maybe you've heard this expression, but amateur by design wins the day, So on certain social platforms, that's what's required. That's where AI can fill in the blanks. So there's good news. To me, there's good news and bad news. The good news is people who are real concept people, who are truly creative people, there's going to be a place.
I agree with that too. Yeah.
I think we still need the big idea. I think what I'm hoping, from my lips, hopefully, but I'm hoping that AI takes over things that are more production related. So like, at Amazon, we were doing tons of like localization, obviously out globally to the markets. I'm hoping they can do things like
to refine the process.
Localization, things that are a little more tedious, a little more production, a little less creative. I'm hoping that's the stuff that can be taken over by AI, and that would be amazing, and free up people to come up with the big ideas that you were talking about, Corey.
But guys, won't it still, and I'm asking this in real time. If you, let's just say I'm the big ideas person in my head, and if I learn how to feed that into AI and give it the prompts, then
yes, but they still need the person like you who's the big idea person.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And you also need to push back on AI. Like, so take the localization thing. There might be, based on its own I don't know, base of research and knowledge, it might intuit like, hey, you have to do it this way and appeal to this market because it has certain peculiarities, in the eastern part of whatever this country, so it might have that knowledge. But your knowledge as the actual professional who knows that market, I was talking to another fella less than a week ago who the way he put it was like, listen, man, when you get as many stamps on your passport as I do, we'll be able to have a more informed conversation about those markets. But a person who's actually been there, or somebody that has as many reps as you have, Dana, in doing the alts, there's something to be said about getting those reps that it informs your creativity. So I think in a way, again, good news, bad news. The good news is somebody who has all those stamps on their passport, they have actual working knowledge of people on the ground in all those different territories that AI is not going to intuit without a human kind of collaborating with it in a way.
Yeah, feeding it some information,
Yeah, but if it's doing all of the iterations, then there's going to be a young person who's going to be you, in a few years, but they can't be you because they're not going to be able to get their reps in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I guess we'll have to surf this wave together.
We will indeed.
Yeah. By then, hopefully I'll be retired. Not in Florida, but somewhere else.
Well, you're sort of answering one of my last questions about this is like, what does an effective campaign look like this year or in, the next year, 3 years, 5 years? How do you open a movie? How do you build an audience for a new TV show or a new season of a TV show?
That's what I'm wondering, and that's why I was bringing up Marty Supreme earlier. I know, I was wondering, like, is that going to crack shit open? Like, they did very unusual things. They owned the color orange, especially as it pertained to wardrobe. Timothy Chalamet and Kylie. Were wearing orange. He was wearing orange with his mom. Sorry, one of the cute Kardashians or Jenners. In any case, they owned orange. They got on top of the sphere and turned it into a ping pong ball. Flew blimp like.
But more importantly than that, it was Timothy Chalamet who helped.
He did
launch that, who took that on, and it's like seeing that's what we always said about like Tom Cruise. It's like and the Ben Afflecks and the people who really understood the power of marketing and who really lean into that. That's what I think you're seeing that needs to happen. Like if we want things to really succeed in movie theaters and other places, it's going to take an effort from everybody, not
That'll
just the
be interesting
studio.
to see. You're right. I wonder
it's a partnership.
Talent, like the actors are actually going to. Someone I worked with on my last title was Jamie Lee Curtis, and like she was totally into marketing, and like that may make a difference, right? If you're working,
it's a partnership
in marketing,
and so having that access and really, if we hadn't had Timothy Chalamet doing what he did and making sure that everything that he was out there pushing it, the young people wouldn't have been touched, the older people wouldn't have been paying attention, and so it takes a whole team to do that. And I think that that's now how we're going to start to approach creative advertising. It's not just like the star on the red carpet. It's the star out there doing experiential live stuff and making the movie feel accessible to everybody, where I got to go to the theater and see that. I got to.
It's like the marketing campaign is the entertainment.
Right. Exactly.
Which is what Marty Supreme did successfully. And I wonder, Corey, we'll see, but I wonder if that's the next iteration.
Yeah. The fella I was talking to last week said something similar where so it used to be the conversation around the event. Now the conversation is a part of the event. Yeah. That's an interesting insight. Okay, so I know we've already gone a little bit long here, so I have a few more fun questions. Fun for me, anyway. Okay, so throughout history, hundreds, if not thousands of years, the most brilliant creatives shamelessly steal. Picasso stole from Georges Braque. Pete Seeger was approached one time, said, "Hey, Pete, somebody stole that song from you." And Pete Seeger said, "He might be stealing from me, but I steal from everybody." So, in that spirit, what have you shamelessly stolen, and why are you proud of it?
Oh my God, that's so true, Corey. There are no original ideas. And I feel like, dare I go back to where we started and go 360 and go, my father-in-law? Everybody steals from my father. Drew Struzan, he's a legend. And nobody can do it as good as him, but people try often. One of the last posters I did when I was at Amazon was, "Oh, what fun," which it was not actually illustrated. It was This is crazy.
I know. Why is it
This
doing
is Zoom.
It
It's
must
I
crazy.
know. I'm getting dizzy.
know that it's
It's
like
zooming in, zooming out. Yeah, for folks that are just listening.
stop looking at
But yeah,
me.
it was like we didn't actually illustrate it. We photographed it, and one of my favorite people in the world, Andrew McPherson, photographed the talent. So mad props to him as a photographer. But we applied a technique to it that had an illustrative feel, and tried to kind of bring that nostalgic feeling that Drew always brought to art. And so yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know if I'm proud that we kind of riffed on it, Corey, but yeah, we did, because his stuff was amazing, and to bring that feeling, he wasn't illustrating it anymore when we did that. So to bring that feeling to the movie was something that we kind of riffed on. But yeah,
Dana, I'm imagining so one of you in your early days, you were among like a bunch of really freaking brilliant people. Maria was there, Amanda was there, Rod and Andy were obviously Barbara and Mike, and all the editors. So you must to this day be stealing from that treasure chest of brilliant talent and ideas. And no,
Yeah, I'm racking my brain because the girl's older now, so I have to. It takes a long time for things to come. I'm sure I have. There's just so much that I've taken from Mike, Barbara, from everybody. So I can't at the top of my head just say like which one. But I mean, I would say it's more emulations of like style and working that I can actually lean into. Like Barbara had a clear way, which is why I think even you've commented on. I'm really weird about copy. Like I get really in the paint on copy. Like I need to sit down. I need to read it out loud. And even when Cam started working with me, I was like,
reading it out loud, sitting next to me, Corey. I'm trying to concentrate, and she's reading out the lines really loud. I'm like, Dana,
I have to feel it. And so that was Barbara would be in her office on her chair. I can see her with her Indian style on the chair going over copy. There's just like things that people do and work styles that I've gathered throughout the years. And that's one of them. It's really important to me. It's how I connect to the copy.
okay, all right. I'm not gonna. Well, maybe I will put you on because we've talked about some campaigns, but I want to open it up not just to your campaigns that you've worked on, but like campaigns over the course of time. Whether it's a piece of key art or a trailer or a digital campaign or an activation, what are some of your favorite pieces of marketing? And it can be streaming or theatrical.
I'm going to throw it way back right now. I'm going to go to the Gone in 60 Seconds trailer.
Oh, dude! So
teaser trailer. It was so good.
Skip Shazan. Yeah.
Who I used to work with at Kaleidoscope Films Group. But I just think that narrators were always men, and it was awesome to me that they had an incredible female narrator, but it was just sexy and it was just well done. And I still look at it and think that was so cool. I wish I worked on that.
Dana.
I mean, there's like a couple for me. It's like, it's Black Panther. That
Beautiful.
just touches me every time. I never get tired of watching it. Bridesmaids. Every time. That's like some brilliant creative.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think like right now, obviously I only have eyes for Weapons because that's like my horror movie that really has got me. But those would be the ones. I love anything that Bill Neal does. I'm going to call him out too because like he's another one I would love to train under. Like that guy, and just his nuances with horror just like never disappoint. So
yeah. We were talking about that just recently. Actually, last night it came up. The thing about Bill is that he's not doing a Bill Neal thing per se, because any piece that you grab of his, you don't necessarily know it's a Bill Neal piece. Like there's no formula. The formula is I gotta have Bill Neal if he's willing to spend some time with me. But like his moment of looking at a blank timeline, I do not want to be in his head in that moment. But as brilliant and as accomplished as he is, that says something because there's a hunger there, there's a drive there, there's an anxiety there to like to solve it, So I really respect that. All right, so this is really important. So you're talking to a 20-nothing version of yourself, and by the way, you're not too far away. So your kid is 18, Dana?
17.
17. Okay,
so seniors in high school.
Please don't age a girl.
Sorry.
Not even a year. It's rude.
I will don't give it to me.
Sorry about that. So you're talking to a 20-nothing-year-old version of yourself. What are you telling that person, that young person, habits to cultivate, or just tips of like how to plant the seeds and kind of set the pace for not just, I'm not going to say successful career. I want to say like enriching time in this industry. What are some of your words of wisdom?
Do you understand? I mean, I'm doing it right now because I gotta also plug up my Otis that I'm still doing
You're so
second year of my Otis and Netflix Access program. My biggest thing is just if I could tell my younger self, it's just be comfortable in your own skin. You don't have to have the same ideas as everybody. Your creativity is your own creativity, but you just have to own it and you can be confident. And I spent so many years being not confident about it, afraid that, and here I am sitting in a room with the same ideas, but afraid to voice them. And I'll never forget Tim Palin said to me, you need to, why are you being quiet? Like, I know you've done it. I can see it on your face. And
Another legend.
yeah, another legend. Just give me the ideas. And I would just tell my younger self to just, I hate to take this back to religion, but I have to. God gives you your own talent. You don't have to worry about somebody else having what you have as long as you have the forthright and the trust in yourself to just put it out there. There's no bad idea in fucking Hollywood, right? And it takes a long time to learn that. There's no bad idea.
Yeah. Def?
Yeah, I think I would say, let's see, maybe like sponge off people when you're young. So do you know what I mean? Like we've named a lot of incredible people that we worked with and like just sponging, like learn everything you can from the brilliant people and then give back. Right? That's sort of what you were just saying too. So it's like learn everything that you can and then impart your knowledge to the younger people too. And like, put a hand down and pull people up.
Amen. Amen. All right. Now you get to turn the tables on me. Do you have any questions for me?
I do, Corey. I actually want to know how you segued from being like a headhunter recruit to this.
Aren't you still a headhunter?
Yeah. I still do that on a much more limited basis, though. So I still do that. But it's a fair question. Sometime around 2018, I heard my very first podcast. It took me a while because I'm actually an iPhone guy now, but up until, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, I was a Samsung, or what do you call it, an Android guy. So it took me a little bit longer to get on to podcasts. And that very first podcast I listened to, because I have this background as a producer, theater, film, in addition to my headhunting work, and my producer's brain kicked in. I fell in love with the medium right away. It was a Mark Maron episode of, I forget who he was interviewing, but just that long form conversation. I just fell in love with the medium of podcasting. And literally before that episode was even over, I was already imagining this show. Because having spent however many years it had been up to that point, every day getting lunch with somebody and hearing their story, or dinner and drinks with people and hearing not just their story, but the story among other people in the industry and the story of these legendary companies. And these stories are not known. Every once in a while, about once a year, the New Yorker or some other publication decides to do, a piece on, usually it's the VO guys, they end up doing a piece on, and they don't, I know actually Brubaker has been quoted, Benny has been quoted here and there, but I've never felt like they've done it justice. Andy Keene has had documentaries made about his work, and so it always was on my heart to tell the story of this industry by telling the story of the people who make up the industry. And once I heard a podcast for the very first time, I knew that this was the medium to tell that story. So once I started producing stuff, I was like, now I really love it. Now I really love this world. So I became a student of podcasting from soup to nuts, from how to build an audience, how to invite guests, how to do the post. I'm editing now. Like I was never on the board before, and I not the way that Bill Neal edits, obviously, but just like even doing sound editorial, and it just. I'm a lot older than you guys, but we ain't old, we're not young, but we ain't old,
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, like, what do I want to do for the next 20 years? I want to take what I'm pretty good at, what I have some experience now at, but I want to channel it through something that is much more mission oriented, you know, that is identifying needs in our world. There's a Jewish expression, a Hebrew expression, tikkun olam, like what is broken in the world and how can we come together to heal some of that, right? So that's what I don't know if that directly answers your question, but like,
It does. I love it. I think it's really cool. And how many? I mean, Corey, then you're approaching 10 years pretty soon for this podcast.
yeah, so 2018 we started pre-production and planning, and then our first episodes were released in summer of 2019, I want to say. So yeah, that's
When you and I had lunch, you said this one helped you when COVID hit and
yeah.
shut down, and this one helped you secure a lot of episodes, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
that whole summer. I mean, and like I said, now I'm friends with some of those folks to this day. So that was a really cool season. But now, I mean, now I have a bunch of shows. I have a sports show. I have my politics show.
But I didn't
Um,
know about the sports one. I knew about like talking politics without killing each other, which I
that's
think
right.
in this day and age rather
Yeah,
than Corey.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
what's the sports one?
It's called East Meets West Sports. And you guys might remember a fellow named Rick Garcia. He was on the CBS News. He was the anchor on LA's CBS News. So he's a buddy of mine. And he's a diehard LA sports fan. I'm a diehard New York sports fan. So Rick, Rick being a main broadcast we learn from each other because I've come to learn a lot about podcasting. He obviously comes from the broadcast world, broadcast news. So we complement each other pretty well. He runs a really good show, and we just have a lot of fun. So East Meets West Sports.
Right. I gotta look that one up. I haven't watched it yet. Have you?
Yeah,
Listen, I should say, listen.
yeah, it's fun.
I have a question for you, Corey.
Okay.
Over your years now, almost 10-year span, what do you find as a commonality of either that people come on, the trailer makers talk about their least favorite thing about the industry and their most favorite thing about the industry?
Well, the most favorite thing about the industry is kind of this intertwined thing where it's the creative and the drive to be creative, but in particular among specific people. Like if you look at some of the best shops in town, the Bonds and the AV squads of the world, there's something special about walking through those doors when you see the people talking to each other, just the way they interact with each other, you know? There's something so the way the people themselves, their relationship with each other, how they communicate with each other, how they work together, doing work together, that is often what I glean from folks about their favorite part. The least favorite part is, frankly, the challenges of the business. Because if we think about it, when I was first entering this business a bunch of years ago, it wasn't unheard of for I don't know if I'm talking out of school here, but like uh, there was a decent amount of money paid for V1 on a trailer. You know, that number has not gone up. And I'm not even talking in terms of adjustments for inflation. I'm talking that number's gone down.
Yeah.
You know, so just the realities of the business. That's only one way to look at it. But the realities of the business have gotten hard. And not only that, like the campaigns that are being done now are very different. So a company like Ant Farm and the trailer park of that era, they were built on 5 or 6 shops getting shots of TV campaigns, and every TV that was being done was getting version after version after version. That was just the way campaigns were being done. Now you might get 1 or 2 shops maybe on a TV campaign, and there's not a lot of TV campaigns being done.
And TV campaigns reduced.
Yeah.
It's like maybe a 30 and a 15 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's folks' least favorite part. I'm not going to say listen, COVID isn't a part of the business. These fires, the tragedy of those fires wasn't a part of the business, but obviously it's not fun to go through that stuff. It's hard to go through that stuff. There's a lot of stuff that we've all gone through culturally and as an industry together that's been hard, but you can't say it's the least favorite because in a lot of ways, those challenges have brought a bunch of us together,
Yeah.
But there's certain aspects of the business itself that are hard to navigate that are the least favorite. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. No, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was a ton of fun. I want to make sure that folks can find you. Like y'all are both pretty prominent on LinkedIn. Are there if folks wanted to just kind of catch up to speed on the specialness of Debi and Dana, are there other ways that they should find you? Is LinkedIn the best way to do it?
LinkedIn for me. Yeah.
Yeah. LinkedIn, you know.
All right, cool.
Find me and text me. I'm always open. I'm open for
The
conversation.
DM queen.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we did cover a lot, but is there anything important we haven't covered or talked that you want to make sure that you want to add before we close up?
I'm feeling good.
No, I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
This was nice.
This was so fun.
Yeah. More to come. More to come. We'll have to have more conversations next time at Casa Vega. We'll figure that out.
You got to get
Lady-
that equipment, Core.
Please
Yeah.
do Costa Vega, okay?
Yeah. I'm gonna figure that out.
I got to work out much longer.
That's my not so New Year's resolution. Well, thank you so much both for doing this.
Thank you,
Great.
Corey.
Thank you.
You bet. And thank you all for listening. As always, please rate us and review us wherever you get your podcast. It really does help us in the rankings so that others can find us and learn from brilliant people like Dana and Debi.
Or you might be able to get a Golden Globe. We got to really rate you so that you might be able to win a Golden Globe for your podcast.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, on that note, follow me on all the socials. I'm at Corey S. Nathan, so maybe I'll get those numbers and they'll maybe pay attention to it. No, Corey S. Nathan, Corey S as in Sam, Nathan. Check out our awesome sponsors too. The Golden Trailers, they're coming up. Not too long, not too many weeks and months away, and as well as Soundstripe and Maze Wealth Management. Thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on and doing this work. Really grateful to all those folks. Thanks again for joining us. Now go do some inspired work.